Rising above the jungles of Central America are the pyramids of the Maya. Brilliant mathematicians, architects, and astronomers, their kingdoms reached deep into the rainforest. Here they worshipped their gods, the god of maize, the god of the sun, and the god of rain. You might think a rain god unnecessary here in a rainforest, yet his image is everywhere in the ruins of Cabo, Mexico. For this ancient city is surrounded by a paradox, a rainforest with no water. Here on the Yucatan Peninsula, there are no rivers, no surface waters at all. But deep underground, limestone caves trap the rains in precious reservoirs. The Maya call these places sacred, and they were right, for water was power, not over souls, but over life and death.
Major funding for Spirits of the Jaguar is provided by Park Foundation, dedicated to education and quality television. Major corporate support is made possible by Canon, providing the power of imaging to express your visions at home and at work. And by Ford, maker of Ford Expedition, the full-size sport utility that can seat up to 9 and can tow up to 8,000 pounds. The new Ford Expedition, the only way to get there. This program is also made possible by annual financial support from viewers like you.
The gods of the Maya created the world. The creatures that lived in it squawked, chattered, and howled, but could not speak. The gods required people who would worship them and respect them. The first man the gods made from clay, but he was weak and fragile. Although he spoke, his words made no sense. They destroyed him. The second time, the gods made humans from wood, but these were bloodless beings without feelings and expressions. Demons were sent to tear them apart. The gods attempted to create people one last time. To flour made from maize, they added their own blood and created at last the being that would worship them. The Maya owed their existence to the blood of their gods and a plant unique to their continent. They were the Maya, the children of the corn. Scattered throughout the tropical forests of Mexico and Central America are the ruins of Maya cities, archaeological wonders built by a civilization that dominated this land for 1,000 years. The Maya lived in a land that the gods had richly filled with life. One animal in particular permeated their writing, religion, and folklore. The jaguar, the largest cat of the Americas, was respected and feared. In time, he would be given great human status and become a companion spirit to the most powerful kings. The jungle has a life and rhythm of its own, and its creatures have evolved to thrive in a climate of intense heat and violent storms. There is no gentle succession of seasons, just months of drought and months of rain. This is the middle world between the sky and the underworld. Every creature, human and animal, had to adapt to the climate of the middle world or die. In the upper world, the chief predator was the harpy eagle. It was lord of the sky as the jaguar was lord of the earth. The temples of the lords of mankind joined all three worlds, earth, sky, and underworld, giving humans their place in the cosmos. At the height of their culture 1,200 years ago, the Maya were great astronomers, mathematicians, and timekeepers. They developed an elaborate written language and a calendar that could predict celestial cycles to within 1 day every 6,000 years. The art of the Maya reflected the riches of the world around them. Animal symbols represented cities, kings, and important events. Great rituals marked moments such as the spring and autumn equinox. But where did these people come from, and how did they evolve such a distinctive culture in the heart of a tropical forest? They came from the north. Some 12,000 years ago, people moved south from the high mountain plateau of Mexico into the tropical lowlands of Central America, Guatemala, Honduras, Belize, and El Salvador. They had come from deserts, lakes, and woodlands into thick tropical jungle. The first forest people depended on their ability to hunt. But humans weren't the only hunters on the prowl. The Maya had to adapt themselves to their new life in the dense, steamy tropical rainforest. These jungles were full of strange creatures they had never seen before. Like the jaguar, many of the forest animals were important characters in their folklore and their spiritual lives. Monkeys, because of their human-like qualities, were viewed as patrons of the arts, writing, and calculating. They represented the scribe, often depicted as gifted and industrious. Hummingbirds were associated with the ritual of bloodletting because of their needle-like bills. Some animals were seen mainly as a source of food, like the tinamou, a relative of the ostrich. Their diet consists mainly of fruit and seeds, but they will eat an occasional scorpion, although very carefully. The forest provided the Maya with food and inspired their beliefs, but it was also a hostile place of snakes, scorpions, spiders, and armies of insects. Army ants kill any prey that can't escape. Then they carry the body parts back to a bivouac, a living encampment of as many as 1 million individuals. Soldiers possess formidable jaws, so large that smaller workers can climb aboard and groom them. For thousands of years, the Maya thrived in the jungles. But then, 4,000 years ago, hunter turned farmer. This was the beginning of slash-and-burn agriculture. It was the foundation of a new life. Clearings were made in the forest to make way for fields and small settlements. The rich ashes of the jungle's giant trees fertilized the soil. The ancestors of the Maya had brought corn domesticated in the highlands of Mexico into the forest. This became their staple crop and the key to their success. The Maya were indeed children of the corn. Two other crops, squash and beans, also became part of their staple diet. This successful combination supported a large population. At its peak, about 800 AD, at least 10 million people lived here. Maize, eaten alone, has little nutritional value. These people knew that it could be better digested if lime and water were added to it. The powdered lime produced from limestone rocks greatly enhanced the protein value of maize flour. This recipe was critical to the success of the Maya culture. In large areas of the northern forest, rivers are hidden under the porous limestone. They are visible only in large sinkholes, known as cenotes, and in small forest pools. Here, some fish give their youngsters a head start in their struggle to survive. Instead of laying eggs, which are so vulnerable to predators, they give birth to live young. The largest resident of the forest, the tapir, takes full advantage of these oases in the jungle. Here, in these rich pools, he feasts on water weeds. Large cities like Chichen Itza and Uxmal were built close to these sources of water. The limestone bedrock that hid the precious waters provided the ideal building materials for their spectacular architecture. Relatively soft when first quarried, it could be easily cut into blocks before hardening in the air. This stone allowed people without metal tools to build immense structures with precision and intricate details that still remain. The Maya developed myths that celebrated cunning and wit. They had to survive in a world where danger was everywhere. The jaguar was a sacred animal, a successful predator competing with the Maya for food, and even at times killing the people themselves. The jaguar was also revered because it could hunt both by day and night. The night was a time of the unknown. It belonged to the spirit world. The rare black jaguar must have been especially feared. It's almost invisible at night. Two-thirds of the animals of the Maya jungle are nocturnal. This prehensile-tailed porcupine is having a midnight snack. Many of these creatures have evolved a lifestyle in the trees. It's safer that way. The silky anteater has hind feet specialized for climbing. The foot pads are split in half to grasp branches and vines. Of all the forest cats, the margay is best adapted to hunting at night. With large eyes and superb hearing, this agile predator moves effortlessly through the canopy. The animals of the forest frequently appeared in the art of the Maya. They became the names of kings, of cities, of months of the year. Bats and bat gods were a common theme. The bat represented the fourth month in the Maya year, known as Zats. It was also the symbol of the city of Copan. The vampire shares these forests with over 200 other species of bats. They live in the limestone caves of the underworld. Many of the rainforest plants bloom in the evening and rely on bats for pollination. These flying mammals play a vital role in the forest, dispersing pollen and seeds as they travel on their nightly rounds. In Maya mythology, the bat represented the unknown, the night, the dark. Camazotz was the great killer bat, adorned with crossbones on his wings. In his underworld lair, all who entered were doomed. The Maya Bible describes a legendary battle between Camazotz, the killer bat, and the mythical twin ancestors of the Maya, the hero twins. These brothers entered the spirit world in order to avenge the death of their father and uncle, but the lords of the underworld were determined to kill them. The brothers hid that night in a blowpipe, but in the early hours, one of them cautiously put his head out to check for the dawn light. Hearing him, Camazotz descended and decapitated him. Rejoicing, the lords of the underworld carried off the head to the ceremonial ball court, but they were tricked. The surviving brother managed to gain possession of the head and replaced it with a gourd. The gods were defeated, and his brother was restored to life. On Maya ball courts, the game was not just for fun. It could end in death. A player's skull might be covered in rubber and used for a ball. In Maya games, the balance of the world was at stake. Kingdoms could fall. The Maya divided the universe into 3 layers: heaven, earth, and the underworld. At the center of their world, bridging these layers, was the tree of life, the giant ceiba, the largest tree in the forest. It connected the heavens with the underworld. The Maya believed that the souls of the dead ascended through the roots of the ceiba, climbing the tree to reach the heavens above. Snakes were able to journey between the world of the living and the spirit world below. They were the guardians of the underworld. Below the forest of the Maya are huge limestone cave systems. Rivers run underground for hundreds of miles through extraordinary rock formations. These rivers flow into salt water trapped since the last ice age. Here in this labyrinth of the underworld, live creatures that have never seen the light of day, crabs that have no need for protective pigment, and blind cavefish. In these caves, the Maya worshipped their gods. These pots represent the ceiba tree, the tree of life at the center of the Maya world, with its roots in the underworld and its branches in the heavens. Juvenile ceiba trees are covered in spines as protection from grazing animals. As the tree matures, it loses its spines, its leaves safe, high up in the canopy. The buttress roots of the ceiba are home to animals from the underworld. Tiny sac-wing bats are one of the few species that roosts in the daylight. Sac-wings have a complex social system. Males have harems of up to 9 females. At dawn, they return to their territorial roost and sing elaborate love songs. This wards off rival males and keeps the females together. He makes his advances with the help of a little perfume, which he releases by extending his wing to open his scent glands. This intoxicating cologne reinforces the family bond. The division of the Maya mythical world into 3 layers mirrored the natural world. But the middle world, the forest, has its own vertical division, and each layer has its own forms of life. Termites build elaborate highways constructed of cellulose on the outside of trees. Far above the ground, their nests are secure from most predators. The colony is guarded by a soldier caste. They use their long snouts to defend the colony by spraying intruders with noxious chemicals. One of the few predators to brave this army is the tamandua. This arboreal anteater has a prehensile tail powerful enough to support the combined weight of a mother and her offspring. Using her powerful claws, she can quickly cut open the cement-like covering of the termite nest, lapping them up with her sticky tongue. She has only a few minutes before the soldiers arrive in serious numbers. The crown of the Tree of Life towers above the canopy. This lofty perch is a favorite nesting site for the harpy eagle. This chick will spend 6 months in the nest. The harpy, lord of the air and largest eagle in the world, preys on mammals as big as sloths and monkeys. It will be 2 years before this chick will be able to kill such large prey for itself. Growing up in a nest surrounded by carrion presents a special problem for the chick. The youngster is plagued by insects. The mother's solution is to select young leaves containing natural insecticide and carry them back to the nest. This regal bird, predator of the forest canopy, inspired Maya warriors. Its feathers adorned their chiefs, who believed that the spirit of this great bird would lead them to victory in war against neighboring cities. War was the responsibility of kings. Captives were sacrificed to repay the blood debt of the Maya to their gods. The lords of the sky were their guides and guardians. The gods needed blood, the land needed water. Blood and water, seasons and sacrifice were the Maya obsessions. The hook nose of Chak, the rain god, dominated the buildings of the city of Uxmal. The seasons, wet and dry, dictated not only the success of their precious corn, but also an appropriate time for war. Measurements of time were carved into the walls of their buildings. Days, months, and years were computed with astonishing accuracy. The planning of these massive temples was exact. On the autumn and spring equinox, a serpent's shadow appears on the pyramids of Chichen Itza, making its way into the underworld. The Maya built observatories to record the movement of the stars and planets. Windows were lined up precisely with the passage of Venus, the brightest and most important planet. Where the Greeks saw star constellations like Orion and Gemini, the Maya read patterns from their own world, the turtle and wild pigs. To the Maya, this was not simply the passage of stars. The celestial bodies were guided by the gods, reenacting mythical events from the start of time. Night was the time when mortals communicated with the supernatural. It was the privilege of royalty to let blood. This was the time of visions, as their royal blood transcended the middle world. A great king would bring his people success in war and abundant harvests. The life of the forest revolved around the coming of the rains. The Maya understood this life-giving power of the clouds, given or withheld by the gods. The long drought of February to May ended with violent, cleansing storms, drenching everything. The harpy eagle chick, now 5 months old, experiences rain for the first time. Its plumage has been washed clean. The jungle has been transformed. Once more, the gods provided the forests with life-giving water. The Maya worshipped those animals that were able to cross the boundaries between worlds, including the boundary between land and water. Caiman and crocodiles were revered. Their spiny backs were metaphors for the mountains and land. In art and myth, they represented the ancient creator god. Turtles were associated with both Chak, the rain god, and the maize god. Turtles were also an important part of the Maya diet. They were farmed in large numbers, providing meat as well as shells, which were used as musical instruments. Tapirs are great swimmers. They prefer to stay near the water to feed on the aquatic plants and to escape from predators. This jaguar is less inclined to go for a dip. He'll get wet only if there is enough of a temptation. After the rains, fruit eaters are treated to a real feast. Many of the forest animals time their breeding to coincide with this plentiful harvest. One of the smallest of the toucans, an aracari, rears its young on the flush of insects that comes with the rains. Rains nourished the Maya crops. Agriculture enabled their population to grow rapidly, and they began farming more intensively, terracing and irrigating. The land would soon be exhausted. Domesticated animals, turkeys and ducks, supplemented the vegetable diet with protein. Dogs were not only used for hunting, the Maya bred a variety of dogs for eating. They also cultivated bees. These stingless bees were collected from the forest and housed in hollow logs. The honey was used to make an alcoholic drink important in rituals. While some workers collect nectar and pollen, others attend the queen in the brood chamber. This single female is responsible for all the eggs in the colony. After the egg is laid and provided with pollen and nectar, workers seal off the chamber. Later, they will attend and nurture the growing larvae. With relative ease and complete safety, the colony is divided and a new one established. This was a simple but productive partnership. The Maya harvested the forest in ingenious ways. Plants had many uses as food, building material, and medicines. But the chicle tree had an unusual purpose. After the rains, the sap would rise to the surface. Cuts would then be made in the bark, and the sap collected as it drained out. It was then processed into the world's first chewing gum. The Maya made full use of the natural resources available to them, extracting everything they could from the forest. They became very successful and wealthy. Cocoa beans became currency, and the Maya kept accounts. They developed a sophisticated system of writing and numbering. Bars represented the number 5, dots the unit of 1. Other symbols indicated the profits of war. At their peak, there were hundreds of Maya cities and towns scattered over an area the size of England. But while some cities flourished, others had sown the seeds of their own decline. The land was overpopulated and exhausted. People were taking more food and firewood than could be sustained, and there was always the need for water. To maintain the balance of nature, the Maya of Chichen Itza made precious offerings into their sacred well. Ever more valuable ornaments of jade and gold were destroyed and offered to the gods. The gods had made people from their own blood, but how much blood had to be repaid? If the function of a king was to keep nature in balance, then kings might now appear useless. As the Maya became ever more populous, their demands on the land increased, and the hardships of the seasons became greater. 1100 years ago, the majority of the tropical forest of the Maya region had been cleared. The people who lived there struggled to survive, as did the wildlife, trapped in shrinking pockets of jungle. The forests could not sustain the increasing human population, but that was not the only reason for the decline of the Maya. Each city suffered its own catastrophe. There was agricultural collapse and starvation. As the population grew, the land was being worked to death. The Maya had depended on hunting to supplement their diet, but they had cleared the forests, and there was little wildlife left to hunt. When the famine hit, turtles were one of the last sources of food they had left. Devastating wars swept the region as rulers fought for the land of rival cities in a struggle for survival. This civilization had ruled this land for 1,000 years, but now it was dying. The Maya had thrived in the rich forests of Mexico and Central America. They had revered the jaguar, an animal spirit which accompanied kings. But now, even that relationship was at an end. The burgeoning aristocracy demanded ever more of their peoples and their forests. On the inauguration of the 16th and last king of the city of Copan, 15 jaguars were sacrificed in honor of the previous rulers. Perhaps this was a last desperate act of a failing aristocracy, offering the creature they most revered to enlist the support of their ancestral gods. Famine, greed, overpopulation, destruction of the land, all these contributed to the collapse of the Maya Empire. In the centuries that followed, nature reclaimed the land of the Maya. The secrets of this great civilization would remain hidden in the jungle for hundreds of years. The jungle became so dense that even the memory of this great empire disappeared. East of the lands of the Maya is the Caribbean Sea, the home of the Taino. These mysterious people developed a culture very different from that of the Maya, one that depended on the riches of the sea. Join us tomorrow night when Spirits of the Jaguar reveals their story.
To find out more about nature, visit us on the PBS homepage at the address on your screen. Major funding for Spirits of the Jaguar is provided by Park Foundation, dedicated to education and quality television. Major corporate support is made possible by Canon, providing the power of imaging to express your visions at home and at work. And by Ford, maker of the 1997 Taurus, the sedan that's giving America more of what it wants in an automobile: room, power, and performance. Ford Taurus. This program is also made possible by annual financial support from viewers like you.
Spirits of the Jaguar is available on home video cassette for $19.95 per episode or $69.95 for the 4-part set plus shipping. To order, call 1-800-336-1917 or write to the address on your screen. Please specify episode title.
This is PBS.